Morning campers. So a little while ago I sold a lot of bits on eBay. I made 180 quid, not a great deal of money, but I thought I would use that money to buy a new welder. I wanted to try one of these inverter welders, so I bought a cheapy inverter welder off of eBay, and today I'm going to have just a little play with it because it's a little bit different to the type of MIG welder that I'm used to. So I just want to play around with the settings and see whether we can replicate some of the welds that we might need to do when we're welding the car back up. So it's a little Hitbox welder, about £150 this was. It's an inverter welder. This one actually can do the gas as well, which is the most important thing. I did have a little play around with it last night on the flux core wire, which does leave a dirty looking weld and does splatter a bit more. So I wanted to try it, as I will use it with the gas, and see how we got on. So it comes with a manual that has all of the rough settings to set up your MIG feed, depending on what size wire you're using, what size panels you've got. We're an engineer, so we don't need to read that, do we? So let's just have a little play around with it, and what we're going to try and do is 1mm panels, just see whether we can tack things on, because that's a quite useful thing to do with welders, and also see whether we can do a reasonable weld coming along. So difference on these welders you've got is you've got the current setting, which is quite normal on most welders, but you've got the voltage setting. Not 100% sure what the voltage setting's for. When I played around with it yesterday, it seemed to be just responding to what the wire speed was, so I've left it in the middle when we're playing around with current. So original welder I used to use, or have been using, is my little trusty SIP MIG welder. This is about 30 years old, cost about 200 quid when it was new, so that was probably quite expensive. 130 amps you got on here and 6 power settings. So when we're welding the mini panels or most car body panels, you're using either the power setting 4 or 3. So I think that roughly translates to around 90 amps. So that's where we will start on this one. So let's have a little play, see what we can do. So on the couple of welds here, so the first weld here, you can see it's very knobbly. Gas pressure maybe a bit low, so I turned it up, resulting in the second weld, which is a lot better. 90 amps normally on the old welder at 90 amps. But on a gapped butt joint like that, I'd be blowing the shit out of things. That seems quite nice. And then had a little bit of a play around. You can see a decent bit of heat getting into that, and a reasonable weld from that. So tack it on seems alright. I'm going to have a little bit more play and see what we can get on with. Tried on this one at a little lap joint here, and I think with a little bit more mass of metal here with the two panels, it struggled to have the heat to go in. Still at 90 amps, but I turned up the voltage a little bit, and it seems to have bitten in a little bit more. So I'm still playing around with that, and then did a second one on over here. This one, instead of just aiming the torch, I give it a little bit of a side wiggle as it's going along. And that seems to have spread the heat out and done a much nicer weld. Penetration is quite good, heat pull's quite good on here, so it's suggesting it's going to be a good weld. One of the things I really like about the new welder is, on the old one, you've got 50 Hertz because it's just a transformer coming off the main supply. These new ones, you've got 20,000 Hertz from the inverter, and it's like a woodpecker on speed, banging in there, so it you can move it around much better and it doesn't splatter so much. It really penetrates nicely into the metal, and with the old one you start getting a bit of splattering, then you don't get a good connection and you end up with a really dodgy weld. So that's quite good. I'm just going to go another go at the same power settings, see where I can seam up that one and see what we're looking like. Yeah, so very nice, very easy on that. Let's have a look on the other side. Oh, can you see that? No, I won't focus in. See that now? So really good penetration on that. So yeah, really happy with that. Yeah, so I'm quite liking this welder. It's not as fierce. You see here and here I've blown a hole between the two edges of the butts, and managed to just sort of spot bzz, 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 bzz in there and fill the weld back up, which is not ideal. You really want to do it in one go, be nice and smooth like this, but it doesn't always work like that. But it does seem possible with the welds to plug and fill in welds. So we've been able to do stitches, we've done sort of butt joints. Again, one of the things that I noticed with this welder is when it starts penetrating in, it's not blowing the peat panel away immediately like with the older technology. It just gives you that little bit longer to see where you are, what you're doing, and get your position, and you can move it around to sort of spread the heat a little bit. So far so good. I think it just needs a little bit more practice. So hopefully next time we have a play, we'll play on Project Benny and see whether we can start moving some of those things forward. So fingers crossed for me so far. One of the other great benefits with this is it's tiny in comparison, because it's just circuit boards inside rather than a big transformer. It's nice and light to lift up and move around. So fingers crossed so far with me. I do need to do a bit of practice, and I do need to do some welds on the car to see how they come out. Sort of weld them on. Are they pretty? Are they strong enough? Do I get the right penetration on what I need to do? So that's a thumbs up for me for now. See you later.